Right, it's the 8th of August 2022, and for the first time in several months, apart from a brief recce last week, I'm up in the woods. And basically, I don't want to get caught out like I did last year with my winter's firewood, which was this winter. This pile, this was cut, coppiced, the area over the back, which you just can't see now. Not the winter just gone, but the winter previously. So it's had a full year sitting up here in the wood, on the edge of the wood, in the breeze, which you probably hear on the microphone of this GoPro. And so this will now be perfectly seasoned. And this will be my winter's firewood for this winter. But I don't want to get caught out like I did last year when I was due originally to collect this, coming up in October, and the rains had just started. So you can probably just see in the distance as a track goes along the bottom, and that had turned into a quagmire. And these fields in the front, we're in a chalk valley here, it also turned into a quagmire. And this little old van, being rear wheel drive, couldn't have got up to here, let alone into this gateway. So the idea this year, despite it being one of the hottest days of the year so far, it's getting close to 30 in this valley, because it's a bit of a sun trap, and believe me, for Dorset, that is hot. The idea is to take all this stuff out while it's hot, whilst the ground is totally dry. So this is the firewood, and we've got about 3.5, maybe 4 tons here. Just in the background, over the back, we've got some sycamore that went off because I couldn't get up here in time to get it, but all this will come out and be this winter's firewood. And as you can see, the coppice, this is now 3 growing seasons after it's been cut. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4 growing seasons after it's been cut, and it's actually going fairly well. This bit in here, inside the deer fence, has been 5 growing seasons since cut. And you can see that this is pretty well impenetrable. I've kept this fenced. Whereas this other bit around here, the boxes and stuff will be going away, by the way. This has been opened up to deer browsing, and this is a little bit more open because the deer have been in here. And you can see where they've been doing some browsing. They haven't eaten the bluebells because the bluebells are pretty toxic. And they've done a little bit of nibbling away, and this will be relatively good coppice. It's had 5 years growth. Under here where it's dark, you can see the canopy above. It's fairly thin and slender. But further up, I shan't go in there because there are deer in here, and I don't want to get bitten by ticks. I hate ticks. But you can see where the deer have been going all summer. This is deer browsing. See, all these have vanished. There'll be deer in here, and the coppice will actually be fairly well grown, and in maybe another growing season, or perhaps 2, bringing it up to 7, it'll be grade 2 or similar coppice. The only difficulty, this was all cut and dropped, because this was done with grant aid, and that particular grant aid scheme was coming to an end, so this was cut and dropped, working up against a hellish, what's the word, time limitation. So all this material is still lying, but after 5 years it's fairly friable. Not ideal, but it's what it had to be. So this is what I'm doing up here after work. Very, very hot day, and you see drought starting. This is hedge woundwort. It doesn't usually look like this time of year. It's usually a little bit more perky, but it's got extremely wilted. Bramble's doing all right. Dock's doing all right, but various other things are starting to have problems. And on some of the farms in the area there have been issues with especially with grain harvest, wheat, combines catching fire, and fires in either the stubble or in the wheat that hasn't yet been harvested. So things are getting a bit awkward. I think there's a post on which shows this area after a year and after 2 years. And see, this is pretty well grown coppice, even though it's rather dense. If I live long enough and come back in here, I shall propose to take out some of these larger trees. These are sycamore, get the light levels better, and hopefully when it's cut next time this will be grade 1 or grade 2 coppice and will able to be sold standing, which is what we want. I want to be able to sell the coppice standing, so someone will come in and do the work, do the stick fiddling, which I don't do. I don't have the skill or the strength of back and arm these days to actually do it. And we'll also get the nature conservation value from getting the stuff cut. That's the plan. Right, call it quits there and do a bit more loading.